he wants to be governor again for the state of Florida. And I will say it would be a huge step up from what is currently that dumpster fire that is there now. We talked with a woman who also wants to be governor last week, Nikki Fried, and now he's joining us from Florida. Let me welcome former governor, former senator from the state of Florida, Mr. Charlie Crist. Welcome.
Thank you, Karen. Great to be with you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming in. You know, I want to be a platform. We have a large amount of your constituents listening, and I invite them to call if they feel inclined. You have a candidate here who wants your vote, 866-801-8255. I'm going to start off with a question that one of my colleagues left me with. You were there before. You were governor of Florida, the 44th governor of Florida, 2007, 2011. What will you do differently if elected?
Not a whole lot, because we need the kind of kindness and leadership that cares about people, cares about our kids in school, fights for our teachers, fights for our environment, fights for minorities again. And I did that the first time I was governor. Fought for automatic restoration of rights, as a matter of fact, and got 155,000 people, returning citizens, former felons, their rights restored. Did things like raise teacher pay in our public school system. I'm a public school kid myself. Graduated from St. Petersburg High School, where I grew up on the West Coast, and graduated from one of our great state universities, Florida State University. So fight for education, fight for our environment, because as you know, Karen, the environment and the economy in Florida are inextricably linked. You got to make sure that one is doing well so that the other can at the same time. So many people depend on tourism in Florida for their jobs, their opportunity, whether it's working in a restaurant, working in one of our hotels. Tourism is the driver here in the Sunshine State. And protect Disney World. We have a governor right now that's attacking Mickey Mouse. It's just unbelievable, for only voicing their opinion on a piece of legislation, which means what? Exercising their right to free speech. Ron DeSantis is a mess. We deserve better. Floridians deserve better. That's why I'm running for governor of Florida.
Okay, that sounds amazing, Charlie Crist. You've been on this earth long enough to have seen this country go into the abyss. In the state, I had a house in Winter Garden for 6 years. Yeah, I loved it, but beautiful. Beautiful. I could not imagine living in Florida today. I would not feel comfortable living in Florida. Right. And the climate there is really toxic, and it's expensive now. So that's a place you would go to retire, where you could be, it could be affordable. The weather's beautiful. The people were pretty, especially around Disney, Popka and all that. You got the best IHOP in the world in that area.
It's the happiest place on earth. Man.
Oh my goodness. But the last several years, and now you even now have a new resident named Trump. You were a Republican. You were a Republican. You were in the Senate as a Republican. What happened, Charlie Crist? In your estimation, what happened to our country?
Our party went crazy. My former party went crazy. It started with the Tea Party, when that started to rise up in 2009, 2010, and now it is just full on metastasized. And that's the problem with today's Republican Party. Look at Liz Cheney's election last night in Wyoming, for example. I mean, she exhibited such courage and leadership on the January 6th committee. And what did they do? They kicked her out. So, I didn't leave my party. My party left me. And I am a proud Florida Democrat. Worked across the aisle when I was governor with President Barack Obama, proud to have done so, pulling us out of the Great Recession, saving the jobs of 20,000 school teachers here in Florida, saving the jobs of law enforcement officers and firefighters, keeping them on the job. Couldn't have done it without President Obama. Even though at the time I was a Republican, he was a Democrat, we worked across the aisle to do what was right. He gave me a hug down in Fort Myers, Florida. And that was it for me as a Republican. But there are still some good Republicans in the state, and I don't want to paint a lot of
Who are they? Name them. I don't believe you.
Good challenge by you. But there are moderates, and they feel lost too. I know they do. And so I think we're going to have a great coalition of people voting together, just like they did in Kansas 2 weeks ago for a woman's right to choose. Critical issue. The U.S. Supreme Court lost its way. Got rid of Roe versus Wade with this Dobbs decision. And women all over the country are upset, and rightfully so. And as governor before, I vetoed an anti-abortion bill. I killed one as a state senator in the Health Care Committee by voting no. And as 6 years as a member of the United States Congress, I got 100% Planned Parenthood rating, and 100% NARAL rating. So I'm ready. I'm anxious to get in there. And the first day of the second Crist administration, I will sign an executive order protecting a woman's right to choose. It's so vitally important.
So you are going against your courts. Florida Court of Appeals on Monday ruled that a 16-year-old girl was not, quote, mature enough to decide to terminate her pregnancy.
Unbelievable.
Two things. Liz Cheney was voted out. The people spoke, right?
Yeah, right.
You now have courts that are making decisions, right? That was supposed to be established law, that, this is established law until it's not, right?
Yeah.
In your position as governor, yes, executive order, but those executive orders can be overturned as soon as you leave. How do we change the system? And when you talk about the Tea Party, Charlie Crist, I'm a compound question asker. I apologize,
Sure,
not at all.
Right, that's all right.
When you talk about the Tea Party, that was really white folk anger at a Black president. That's all that was. And what we're seeing now, I feel, is white folk anger at what they feel is a diminishing presence, that somehow they're being replaced by, I don't know what. Still, if I look at Congress, it's still majority white men. If I look in the CEO C-suites, majority white men. Where are you losing ground? I don't understand it.
Yeah, well, here's the issue. I mean, and you know this better than me, but systemic racism, unfortunately, is alive and well in America. And we have to face it and realize it before we can address it. And here's also the real deal. Florida is one of the most diverse states in our country. I mean, we got people from everywhere here. We got them from Minnesota and from the Caribbean and from, Central America and everywhere, New York, you name it. We're now the third largest state in America. Over 22 million people live in the Sunshine State now. And you're right. It's been, the sun's been eclipsed the last 4 years with DeSantis. I'm running for governor to bring the sunshine back to the Sunshine State, to make sure equal opportunity is alive and well in Florida again, that we get judges on our bench that are going to be of color and understand the diversity that is Florida and celebrate it, not demonize it. This is what this election's about. It's not even really about right versus left, Karen. It's about right versus wrong. And Ron DeSantis is dead wrong. He's wrong on LGBTQ. He's wrong on a woman's right to choose. He's wrong on public education. He's wrong on the environment. He's just wrong for Florida and wrong for America. And here's the truth. The guy is running for president of the United States, and he's taking all these hard, red meat positions to try to, get himself in a better position for a Republican nomination for president. And he cares more about Iowa voters and New Hampshire voters than he does Florida people anymore. And that's just not right. Florida deserves better.
I agree. I mean, when I was in the studio when Andrew Gillum lost, and I was like, don't concede. It's like it's too few votes. Day. Oh my God.
But close too. That was the closest gubernatorial race in the history of our state. And now people look at DeSantis and they think he's like some Goliath. Well, if he's Goliath, I'm David. And David,
well, you better come on with your slingshot. Well, but he's done some things, though, that made it difficult, because that election had on its, I remember, a ballot referendum to restore voting rights to formerly incarcerated people. And DeSantis over the last 4 years has dismantled the first thing they did was institute a poll tax. And then they have been systematic in dismantling and throwing people off voter rolls and disenfranchising voters. And guess what? You need votes. That race was that close. And DeSantis has made it his business to make sure that never happens again. So you have an uphill battle, Charlie Crist, even as it relates to, yes, you might have a greater amount of people who want you to be governor, but it's more difficult for people to vote now than it's ever been.
Well, I know human nature, and let me tell you what I'm talking about. So, it's human nature for when you tell somebody what they can't do, that you're not going to be able to do this, you can't do that, they redouble their efforts to get it done. And I know that from experience. When I was governor in 2008 and Barack Obama was on the ticket for president here in the Sunshine State, and we had long lines at all our polls because it was the first time we had early voting. You know what I did as a Republican governor? I expanded the hours of early voting, signing an executive order to do that as governor of the state of Florida. And so all those people who were waiting in line that weren't being able to cast their ballots, every one of our 67 counties went along with that executive order, and Barack Obama ended up winning the election. My then Republican friends were upset with me because I did that, and I had to remind them of something important in my relationship with God. I said, look, when I got sworn in as governor of Florida, I did not get sworn in as the governor of the Republicans of Florida. I got sworn in as the governor of the people of Florida, and I served them all. And I made an oath to that, and I swore it to my Lord. And so that's the way it is. Do the right thing. Spike Lee taught us how in a great movie one time, really shot off his career. But that's what it's about. It is about doing the right thing. That sounds corny, but it's true. And Ron DeSantis is doing the wrong thing. And now enough is enough.
Come on through, God. We always like that. All right, let me say less because I don't live in Florida anymore. I would love to move back.
Well, come back.
I
We can
can't
use your vote this year.
Man, I don't trust y'all. Y'all elected. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me bring in Bill in Florida. He's one of your constituents. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show. Bill, hello. You're on with Charlie Crist. Hi.
Hey, Bill.
How you doing? How you doing, Governor Crist?
Good.
Question. Me and my wife are both educators.
Yes, sir.
So we're both educators in the state. We're in Duval County. We're paying 3% into our retirement fund. Will you reverse that for us to save us some money? Because, as you know, we're one of the lowest paid counties to begin with.
I absolutely know that, Bill. I was in Duval yesterday, up in Jacksonville, great part of the state. And let me tell you this, I've been endorsed already by the Florida Education Association statewide in Florida, also by the American Federation of Teachers nationwide for educators. Two of my three sisters were public school teachers in Pinellas County over in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm with you, brother. I'm going to do everything I can like I did before when I was your governor. Even though we had about half the state budget that the governor does now, I pay teachers more per capita than he is. I'm on your side. I'll do what I can for your pension. I'll do what I can to make sure we raise your salary. As I said earlier, we're the third largest state in America. You know what our paid teachers are being paid right now? 49th out of 50 states under Governor DeSantis. That's appalling and embarrassing. You deserve better. Your wife deserves better. All our teachers deserve better. That's why I'm endorsed by the Teachers Association here in Florida and very proud of it. Help is on the way, my friend.
Yes, and thank you for your service, you and your wife, brother. As I mentioned yesterday and before, teachers, I think, are the most important members of society. Good teachers. I have to always make that caveat because there's some horrible teachers out there. But the good teachers, we need more of, and they should be paid on par with doctors because I think they're equally as important to our health. Yeah. I look at career politicians, and I feel like we're in a space where a lot of people look at politicians with a side eye. Like, y'all promise a lot, you say a lot, there's, you got your talking points, but we have now a lot of single issue voters, right? So Bill calls up, he has this, I need my pension fixed, you got an answer for it. Mm-hmm. But rarely does, your people in your, very, very rarely do the folk in your position deliver. And I know you have a great track record, but how do you navigate this current climate that we're in? Because it's not the same space that you ran in before for Senate and governor. We're in some interesting times, Charlie Crist.
You think so? It's amazing.
Yeah.
We are in unique times, Karen. You couldn't be more right. And I think now is the time more than ever that we need decency, compassion, empathy in our leaders, people that care about people. A great president once said, Karen, that our government's supposed to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. His name was Abraham Lincoln. Pretty good guy, the great emancipator. It's that kind of leadership.
Wait, you're overstating. Don't overstate. Don't overstate, please. All right, I'm sorry, because I feel like we romanticize the history of America, which is how we got here, instead of telling the absolute truth. And it's nice, cherry tree, freed to enslave people and all of that. It's great. It's great myth making. But the reality, it was complicated. It was complicated. And I'm from Jersey. Jersey did not free its slaves, enslave people when the Emancipation Proclamation came down, because it wasn't politically expedient to let the Garden State free its people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
The
I hear you.
South is, so like, I feel like this also has to be part of the mission of somebody sitting in your seat to tell the truth. And I
Yeah.
know you care about it. I'm sorry. I can't let it just,
No, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'll
can't
tell
do
you,
it.
this CRT thing is a thing right now. And they're making it a thing in the Republican Party. And I get asked every day, Karen, if you become our next governor, what do you think ought to be taught in school? You know what I say? The truth, facts. We have to know what our history was, because, as they say, there's a great slogan that says, those who don't know history may be condemned to repeat it. And usually they're referring to the Holocaust when they make that statement, but you could refer to slavery just as easily because of that. Not everything that happened in America was wonderful. And we have to understand what the facts are, face the truth, understand it so it's not repeated again. That's why it's so important to teach what actually is our history, what the facts are, and what the truth is and was.
I thank you. But you were going down a path in terms of like what needs to happen next. As Florida gets ready, we're getting ready for these midterms. I'm looking at Val Deming in Florida. Val Deming's who I
Our next
absolutely
U.S. Senator. She's
is
amazing.
she? I saw
Oh
she
my
inched
God.
ahead in the polls, but I can't. Can we trust these polls, Charlie Crist? Can we
Well,
trust these
who knows?
polls?
Who knows, right? I mean, the polling industry is one of the most difficult to really understand anymore. But I'll tell you this about Val Demings. She's ready. She's great. She served well on the impeachment committee. She's a great member of Congress, honored to serve with her in the House of Representatives. And she's running a tremendous campaign. I'm honored, if everything goes well next Tuesday, to be on the ticket with her, because she's a wonderful human being, former chief of police in the city of Orlando. She understands common sense and the real deal, and it's her.
If she wins, you win. Warnock holds in Georgia. We see some, I don't know what's going to happen in Louisiana. But if Charles Booker wins in Kentucky, do you think that would say something? Would that restore? I mean, it would restore something for me. But what impact would that have?
Huge, absolutely huge. I mean, and all we have to look to is a very recent example of how things that can surprise a lot of people that think they're, wiser than thou when they're talking about politics is Kansas. Just look what happened in Kansas as it refers to Roe versus Wade. The great vote that they took there, won by almost 20% of the vote in Kansas. Kansas is like Mississippi or Alabama. I mean, Florida's a lot more moderate than Kansas. That was like the canary in the coal mine, honestly, and sent a loud shot across the bow of nationwide. So I'm very optimistic about what's going to happen in this election. I look forward to a good primary next Tuesday, God willing, and I think he is. Then we go right to Ron. And we make sure that we get rid of him as a governor, because he is putting upon all our people. It's almost like he goes to bed every night. Which group can I pick on tomorrow to try to make a point to sell myself to the hard right Republican voters in Iowa and New Hampshire? It's awful.
It works. It's working though. It's
Not yet
working.
so
So,
far, but
I
we'll
mean,
find out. We'll find out.
And I know he's cosplaying because the man is too smart. He's playing a game, but it's working. He knows this is all part of, theater. Let's take another one of your.
Aaron, his numbers are going down in Florida. It may be working in those Republican circles, but Florida's a third Republican, a third Democratic, and a third independent, and it ain't working here.